This is going to be a moment just like The Last Jedi, just like The Last of Us Part 2, just like Captain Marvel, just like Game of Thrones Season 8. Rings of Power is going to be a colossal disaster on every single level. And I think that it's pretty obvious, but if you were still on the fence, this right here should convince you. Because they have no interest in telling a good story. They have no interest in honoring anything that comes before it. They have no interest in trying to win the fans over. They have an interest in hijacking it. And then when they hijack it and change it, and then when you, the fan, rejects it, they're going to call you a racist and a sexist, yada, yada, yada. Now, here we have Peter Jackson, the great Peter Jackson, the man that is responsible for, in my opinion, objectively speaking, the greatest movies ever made. The original Lord of the Rings trilogy. They're not my favorite, but they are absolutely the most well-made films I have ever seen. And Peter Jackson says Amazon's Lord of the Rings television series ghosted him. This is just like Star Wars. Now, again, Peter Jackson is not the guy that created Lord of the Rings, but he did bring Tolkien's, world to life and universally recognized as phenomenal films, and the extended editions even take it to another level. But even if you don't want to have Peter Jackson involved with the creative process, having him attached to this project in any capacity will only give you goodwill with the fans. But they were never interested in having that goodwill. And now Peter Jackson has been ghosted by Amazon and the Rings of Power television series. This thing is going to be so bad, and I am going to make a video every single day about it. Once it releases, I can't wait. The Oscar-winning director says Amazon asked him to be involved in the mega-budget Lord of the Rings series and then cut off contact. Amazon suggests the story isn't quite so simple. The Oscar-winning director of Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies reveals the studio asked him to be involved with its upcoming mega-budget series, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and promised to send him scripts, then never contacted him again. They asked me if I wanted to be involved, and I said, that's an impossible question to answer without seeing the scripts. Jackson recalled to Scott Feinberg on the Hollywood Reporter's Awards Chatter podcast. So they said, as soon as we get the first couple of scripts, we'll send them to you, and the scripts never showed up. That's the last thing I heard, which is fine. No complaints at all. In an upcoming business podcast talking to the Hollywood Reporter's Kim Masters, the filmmaker echoes the anecdote and phrases it slightly different, yet makes the same point. About 4 or 5 years ago, they asked if I would be interested in it. He says, so I said, have you got scripts yet? Because I know how hard the scripts were to write for these films. I didn't know the people writing their scripts. They said, oh no, we haven't gotten the scripts yet, but as soon as we do, we'll send the scripts your way, or we'll send you the scripts. So I was waiting for the scripts to arrive, and they never did. Back in 2018, Jackson told Metro, I think they're going to send us some scripts to see if we can help them along. Still, Jackson emphasized that he harbors no feelings towards Amazon series and is eager to watch it as a fan of the franchise. I'll be watching it, he says, and I'm not the sort of guy who wishes ill will. Filmmaking is hard enough. If somebody makes a good film or a TV show, it's something to celebrate, yada, yada, yada. And so Amazon Studios responded to Jackson's comments with the following statement. In pursuing the rights for our show, we were obligated to keep the series distinct and separate from the films. We have the utmost respect for Peter Jackson and the Lord of the Rings films and are thrilled that he is looking forward to watching Rings of Power. Source close to the project described a complicated and delicate backstory to the situation. First, the studio has high regard for Jackson, and the Rings of Power showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay have privately attempted to make overtures to the filmmaker. But as the statement suggests, there were also legal concerns about keeping the films, which are owned by Warner Brothers, and TV shows separate. There have been executive changes during the time period in question, and it's just, this thing is just such a disaster, and it's going to continue to be a disaster. Every single thing we have heard from them, I'm not going to read the rest of this, but every single thing that we have heard from the people involved with Rings of Power, from the interviews at Comic-Con, from the trailers, from the marketing, from the messaging, the activism. People are active. They're celebrating that they're activists. They're talking about giving women agency. They give women agency. Yeah, so did the Lord of the Rings. So did the original trilogy. So did the Hobbits. And so did the original source material. But now let's celebrate. Let's pretend women have never had a voice. Let's pretend this is the first time a woman has ever had agency. They can't stop talking about it. You got the Don Lemon looking character. You got the Aretha Franklin looking character. It's going to be such a colossal failure, and literally every single piece of media they put out is getting universally rejected to a level that I'm not sure I've ever seen this early on. You know, once a show releases or a movie releases and people actually see it, then yes, I've seen massive backlash. But prior to it coming out, not sure I've seen that. And Rings of Power is a walking disaster. They're going to lose so much. It's going to be the most expensive flop of all time, and we are going to cover it consistently here on Geeks and Gamers. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I appreciate you. I appreciate all your support. Hope you guys are enjoying everything we're doing. We have, I think, 10 YouTube channels now with Geeks and Gamers. If you're looking for all those channels, you can go over to geeksandgamers.com. We have a tab that says Channels, and that'll give you a list of all of the Geeks and Gamers direct related channels. Plus, there's all the individual channels that people that are part of the team have. We have a great network here, and we're happy that you are here to support us. Thank you guys. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.